Welcome to another episode of the Charlotte Mason Philippines, where we talk about our day-to-day ponderings and applications of Miss Charlotte Mason's method. Hi everyone, I'm Gina Roldan of Our Living Learning.
And I'm Normie Herrera of CM Pinay Book Club. Grab your coffee or tea, take a break, and join our conversation.
Hi Normie, Happy New Year!
Happy New Year, Gina! So we're back. Hello sa ating mga subscribers ng Charlotte Mason Philippines. Thank you so much for joining us again for another episode. How have you been, Gina?
Doing good. I just like to apologize to those who are subscribed that we've been gone, but you know how it is with homeschoolers, but we're back. We're here again, and we're going to talk about what are we going to talk about, Normie?
Very exciting kasi itong topic natin for this episode will be very much helpful, especially for most families na medyo having a hard time transitioning back to their homeschooling groove because of the holidays. And di ba parang for the past weeks, ang dami rin nagkasakit. So parang, wow, paano ba natin to i-jumpstart ulit? So we hope this topic will be very helpful for you. So join us throughout this episode.
Yes, that's right. So we are going to talk about what we call in the Charlotte Mason lingo amongst Charlotte Mason homeschooling families. It's called the riches. So riches in the Charlotte Mason aspect. But in all honesty, the word or the term riches, you will not see that in the Charlotte Mason volumes. It just evolved somehow that kasi these are subjects or these are practices that often are not prioritized, no? Not prioritized in homeschooling and also not prioritized even in schools. So, pero yung term na riches nag-evolve because binibigyan natin ng importansya. Bibigyan dapat natin ng importansya itong mga ito as well. So, what are riches ba? Normie, can you tell us what are riches?
Okay, so well, for some of you who are not familiar yet with what riches are all about, ito yung mga subjects that's not commonly tackled in a traditional academic setup. So when we're actually pertaining to the picture study or art study, we have the music or composer study, poetry, yan, hymns, folk songs. And then for the latter years, yung mga higher years, they have the mga book of centuries, yan. Yung mga nature study, although the younger can also do that. So the Plutarch, Shakespeare, yan, all of these fall under the, sabi nga ni Gina, quote-unquote, riches. Kumbaga, it's just a term that is coined to identify these lessons that they add to their everyday learning.
Yes, and we are excited to begin the year talking about riches because we will be asking some of the Charlotte Mason moms in Charlotte Mason Philippines to share maybe their practices on how to do each riches. Kumbaga, paano nila ini-implement sa bahay nila. So, but right now, today, we will just take an overview. We'll look at the overview of what riches are. How did it affect us, sa amin ni Normie? Anong impact niya sa buhay namin, sa mga anak namin? So, para sa'yo, Normie, what benefit did your family, how did it affect your life, all these riches?
Mm-hmm. Well, the root word there is the rich, diba? So, sa amin, it really enriched our homeschooling, and not only for my children, for me as the educator. Kasi when we incorporated this in our everyday learning in our homeschooling, parang it was a breath of fresh air. Parang it's a wonderful lesson to take on, and naka-intersperse siya sa mga hard lessons or mga very heavy draining subjects. So it also gives my children the opportunity to explore as away from the traditional subjects that they're used to. So sa amin talagang malaking benefit kasi hindi lang siya academically inclusive parang lifestyle siya So even if we're in the car, 'di ba? We're listening to classical music, or when we go to some place and they see a painting, parang they would be able to identify, it looks like a painting of this painter, yung mga ganyan bang instances. And nakakatuwa kasi it has introduced so many ideas to my children, which is a very wonderful thing in homeschooling setup.
Yeah, I loved it that I love what you said, no. It introduced a lot of ideas. And we all know that Charlotte Mason education is all about feeding our children, presenting our children with ideas, because we know that ideas are ito yung kumbaga yung food na kailangan ng mind natin for in order for it to grow and in order for it to want to know more. Kasi pag puro dry facts, pag puro information, it deadens. May ganun bang word, deadens? Pinapatay niya yung curiosity ng hindi lang bata pati matanda, parang hindi nagkakabuhay. And so riches is very important. It ought not to be set aside. It ought to be part of your week. It ought to be part of your day to day. So like what Normie said a while ago, this is about picture study, composer study, poetry on a daily basis, Shakespeare, Plutarch, folk songs, hymns, nature studying, handicrafts, and so much more. And a lot of people think na napakadami, pero kung iisipin mo, at maybe the practical side of this, we will be talking about it with the other moms, but just one thing is we just do it one thing at a time. Hindi kailangan gawin lahat. But sa pamilya namin, like you, it really fed us. Parang busog na busog kami with ideas because of the riches. It has expanded our thinking, our appreciation for beauty. Siguro kung hindi po ako nag-Charlotte Mason, ang beauty para sa akin ay napaka-limited lang, ito lang. But since I've been exposed to this and have been taking it in as our weekly feast, parang gumaganon yung perspective ko on beauty. And you know what? Beauty is important. Beauty is important for a child to see beauty, what beauty really is. And this is one thing na kaya talagang malaking impact sa akin ang riches. Normie, can you share a favorite encounter you had with your children with one of these riches? Maybe kwento ka ng anong maybe specific impact. Maybe kung anong nangyari nung regarding riches.
Well, there's really a lot, no? It's so hard to pinpoint a particular thing kasi nga because it's a daily practice that we try to incorporate talaga sa homeschooling namin. Ano na siya, parang second nature na siya sa amin. Parang a day goes by na parang ang hirap na hindi ka nakinig ng classical music. And my children now, if they listen to other music na parang medyo noisy, parang, Mommy, it's so noisy. So parang they are now able to identify the things that, like what you said, I like that illustration. It widens your idea, or it widens your perspective of what beautiful is, di ba? So sa akin particularly, siguro yung nag-lesson kami on folk song, we were tackling a Filipino folk song, yung Cebuano siya And what's amazing is that we're just doing this as exposure. Hindi naman talaga okay, kabisaduhin mo itong hindi naman siya ganon, di ba, Gina? Parang when we're doing riches, hindi siya yung parang, you sit down, memorize this song, and then listen to it, ganyan. But first and foremost, it's always about exposing them for them to appreciate. So ganun lang, that we are just playing that song throughout the week, and then we sat down, and then we really studied it. Kasi it's a Cebuano song, so it's another language na kaiba sa kanila. Now they're familiar na, hindi lang pala Filipino, hindi lang pala Tagalog ang salita ng mga taga-Philippines, meron palang Cebuano, and many other things that we were able to talk about just by listening to this one folk song. And after that listening to, parang hindi na siya natapos doon. After it, talagang sila na mismo yung nagkaroon ng desire na, Mommy, what is this? Parang, what is tambasakan? How long is that? Bakit siya napunta sa dagat? Diba? Parang, I thought it lives in the river. Parang may mga ganyan na silang questions. And even me, as the educator, oo nga no. Tapos nagkaroon na rin ako ng desire to know more. Parang, bakit pinangbili niya? Bakit niya pinangbili ng tuba? Yung kanyang benta. Yung parang ganyan. So ngayon, I'm beginning to, for me personally, even if I'm an educator, I want to widen now my learning. What was their culture then? Bakit ganito yung pagkakasulit? And so many other things which, Gina, it's only because of one exposure to a song. And imagine if you do this on a regular basis, many other conversations you will have with your children, the ideas that will be talked about, di ba? Parang, ang saya lang na ganun yung usapan nyo kesa yung ituturo mo lang sa kanila. This. Okay, tell me what you, ganyan. Parang, like what you mentioned kanina, we don't want dry. It really gives the life into the learning.
Thank you for that, Normie. Ang galing na yung practice na simple na pagsising ng folk song, nagkaroon ng impact, no? Not just sa anak mo, but even with you. And that's just how it is. That's how ideas work. It really it makes a child want to know more. Parang ganun talaga. And Riches, it's such a good place for us to receive ideas. So I just want to share naman my experience. I don't have a specific experience kung paano yung impact. Pero
Ang hirap mamili.
ano?
Ang hirap mamili, di ba?
Ang hirap!
It's so beautiful kasi if you incorporate it already, parang everything is favorite mo.
Exactly. So, one thing is, ikwento ko na lang maybe yung overall impact ng Riches sa buhay namin. So sa bahay kasi namin, ever since they were young, kami ng asawa ko, we believe talaga na bawal ang sabihan ng I'm bored. You know, parang sa amin bad word yun. So when my children were still young, they knew they can't just say that because they knew that I would just say, there's many things you can do, and so they treated it as a bad word, and so it made it parang it started an atmosphere that there's always something that you can do, and so Riches helped me kasi may panahon naman kasi talaga na hindi mo rin talaga alam ang gagawin mo, especially if we try not to watch too much TV, and we try not to use too much gadgets. So parang ano nga bang pwedeng gawin? Pero katotohanan, madaming pwedeng gawin. And Riches, all the practices under Riches really helped us. So natutong mga anak ko mag-sketch, natutong anak ko tumingin ng art, natutong mga anak kong to listen to music, natutong anak ko mag-create. And so all these little aspects help them. And it helped me yung sa rule ko nga na bawal ang boredom. And up to now, it is still helping us. And I believe that these are practices that can be, it's not just school Diba? Talagang nadadala mo siya, like sa'yo nga, diba? Madadala mo siya hanggat matanda ka na. And you can always run to it when, you feel tired, when you feel like, shucks, what when am I gonna do? You can do nature study. You can listen to classical music and all these things. So that's just an overview of how somehow it influenced my own family. And I'm sure a lot of our guests this coming weeks will share a snippet of how it touched their lives in a practical way and also in a very profound way. So abangan natin yan. And so next question is, bakit nga ba siya hindi extra ulit? Can we just emphasize that? Bakit hindi dapat ito naiisip na extra lang, Normie?
That's a good question, no, Gina? Kasi nga, if you look at the lessons, like Shakespeare, kailan mo ba yan i-discuss? Di ba usually college ka na or higher years na in high school, di ba? Tapos Plutarch, parang meron pa tayong ganyan sa Pilipinas. Parang do I really need to take on that? Pero actually, what Gina said, no, I like yung kunento niya yung story niya. It really gives that life back dun sa everyday nyo. So, it's not an extra because these lessons that you take on into your homeschooling schedule helps, kumbaga parang really jumpstart the brain again. Like, for example, after a very heavy math work, parang you cannot force the child to do another subject like reading or writing, you need to give that child a break. Pero syempre, ayaw mo naman ng break na tapos babalik sila sa gadget nila or magkukuting-ting na ko ano. Tapos syempre, mas-stress ka na naman kasi, ay, nagalit na naman kayo. And instead of having all those stressors, why not include the riches? Like, in between the math and then the reading, you can go for a nature study. O, labas muna tayo. Let's look at the greenery. Ganyan. O, let's find new things to discover. Ano yung tumubo this week? Ganyan. And these are things na you can also apply not only in your homeschooling, Gina, di ba? It can also be applied to a mother's routine. Kasi like, for example, ako, kung puro ako chores, ay, mapapagod talaga ako. But I try to incorporate the riches. Like, I would just sit down and have a tea and just listen to, like, kung sino man yung aming lesson na composer study, o sige, ako naman muna makikinig. Or picture study, parang I just want to see a different view. Kasi parang ang dami ko nang na-bombard na yung utak ko ng mga iba't ibang mga visuals. I want something naman na chill lang, that will calm me, bring me serenity, ganyan. And yung commonplace book, di ba, ano yun, kasama rin yun sa sa riches. Parang, ano yun yung commonplace? It's basically where you write all the quotations, the excerpts from the books you read that gave you life or that you want to remember. So now when you sit down and open your commonplace, parang, wow, meron biglang inspirational quote na makukuha ka na, well, alam mo yon, parang pat in the back, say, oh, good job ka dyan, or oh, ito inspiration. So now you're ready to take on the next task. And that's basically the same idea for our children when they're doing their homeschooling. Di ba? Parang ang ganda nun, di ba?
Yeah, sobrang, ano talaga, there's so much we can share about this, no? And ang daming aspeto. As much as Charlotte Mason method, talagang madami. But I think before we end this session, I'd like to share also, kasi Normie explained a while ago na this is riches are best especially when we're transitioning, parang like from holidays, January, parang hanggang ngayon feeling ko Christmas pa rin kahit mid-January na. Parang ang hirap pa rin mag-pick up. And there are times when in our homeschooling life, when life is just not, there's just a lot to take in. There's lots of problems, there's sickness, there's many issues. Yeah, transition. So many things. And what do we do? Do we just, bahala na. There are times na pwede yon. There are times when we just, let's just rest and not do anything. But there's also riches. These are practices na pwede mong gamitin na to help transition you back, to help you liven up, enrich your life once again. Na kung kunwari sobrang lungkot, sobrang busy, sobrang pagod, I think these practices will help you jumpstart again. Kaya rin, I want you all to consider this, especially now na January, at hirap na hirap ka pa rin to pick things up. To start again with your homeschooling. Why not choose 2 or 3 riches to do on a daily basis for 1 week. And then you will start feeling it again because you are being fed again with ideas. So yeah, anything else that you'd like to share, Normie?
Sure, for me also, let's see this riches as an avenue also to know your child more. Kasi sometimes we are so focused on the usual subjects, arithmetic, English, science, ganyan. But what we don't realize is that the learning and the intelligences and the skill set of our children is so wide. Kaya nga, di ba, Charlotte Mason believes that every child is a person. Kasi talagang they're just brimming with so much potentials. And doing the riches gives you that opportunity to discover. Parang magugulat ka, ay, yung anak ko para medyo musically inclined. And I believe, for you, I'm following si Ala, parang wow, ang galing ng batang to for his age to really know this already. I'm sure it's not just something na, gusto ko lang mag-piano. Tapos, when he plays kasi tinuruan siya ng ganun. I believe there's beyond that. And that's the passion that he was able to nourish and nurture. All because of how you exposed him. And the same way with me. My children, minsan nagtatanong yung iba kong kakilala na, paano ma-introduce yung classical music? Yung mga anak mo, na-enjoy talaga nila yan? They really sit down. Kasi ko, yes, they do. And kahit ako, magugulat talaga din ako. Parang, wow. Sometimes when we go travel, isa sa mga favorite namin radio station is yung classical music radio station. And sometimes I feel like, totoo ba? Nagre-register ba sa kanila yung mga natututunan namin? And there was this one time na may nag-play. And then sabi ng panganay ko, sabi niya, Mom, that's Liszt. Sabi ko, ha? Sabi ko, syempre, okay lang ako, okay. Kasi ako naman, hindi ko alam kung totoo. Malay ko ba kung si Mozart yun? But he was able to identify. Sabi ko, and I just tried to check, really, what song is that? And he was able to tell me what title. True enough, na nagsalita yung narrator, yun nga. So parang ako, wow, amazing how this really registers in their brain. And if you do this on a regular basis, imagine the deposit that they have. And these things that they can only be exposed to sa loob pa lang ng bahay mo. So imagine when they go out, dala-dala nila lahat yung riches na yan that they can share to their society, to their communities, that can help bless, di ba?
Yeah, you're right about that, no, yung exposure. I think, yes, I really did think na may effect talaga kasi yung pag-expose nila sa music on a daily basis, hindi lang pilit eh. Parang
Right.
it became part of them and therefore parang sobrang nagustuhan na nila. And by the time that they started learning an instrument, nagigets na nila, you know? And I think maybe, I don't know, only maybe it really did have an effect, but I know for sure that they love music because they were listening to it almost all the time. Now, another aspect before we leave is that, shucks, I had the thought na wala yung thought. Oh my goodness, nawala. Oh my gosh, nawala. I think it's gone.
Come back, come back.
Come back, ang ganda nun, nawala yung thought about it. Oh no. Sige, magsalita ka muna, Normie.
Equally valuable with other subjects, how it will help others, paano ba? How will it translate to... Sayang! Come back, I see you, come back.
Nawala, ang sobra. Dapat talaga nililista ko yung ideas ko. But anyway.
No, but yun nga, what's good about the riches talaga, kasi number one for Charlotte Mason, di ba, na because she believes that education is life, the ideas that's being introduced. And these are just not ideas na parang it's a bad idea. But these are ideas that really are full of virtues, full of values. And sometimes this is where they pick up parang how to respond to such and such situations. Parang, alam mo yon, and things like sa Shakespeare, for example, sometimes we just tackle Shakespeare sa subject na, ay, kailangan kasi sa literature subject namin and all that. But you do not see Shakespeare as what it really is, which is a very rich material wherein you can really understand how people respond to situations, how they handle issues and things like that. And all these, your children will be able to, alam mo yon, understand and learn just by reading it, just by taking it on. And hindi siya kailangan na parang pilit. Kasi nga they understand how it gives value and life to their learning.
That's true. And the thought came back, Normie. I now, and I think we will end with this. I believe that as much as we introduce knowledge to our children, as much as we introduce truth, we ought to also introduce beauty. Like what I said in the beginning, it expands our perspective on beauty. But the thing is, through the years, something happened. No, we think that beauty for a child ought to be cartoonish, ought to be dumbed down. We thought that maybe children won't understand such beauty because hindi pa nila kaya, hindi pa sila capable. But the thing is, we have to reassess ano bang beauty. And let us also acknowledge that they can see beauty. They will, when they hear a symphony, when they see beautiful art, they will see that it is beauty. And we should not shy away from that. We should not parang settle for dumbed down, sorry for the term, dumbed down versions just because we think na yun lang ang kaya ng mga anak natin. They can see beauty, they can acknowledge beauty, and riches will help us in this. And so that ends our podcast for today. And again, subscribe to us. In the next few weeks, we'll be talking more in detail, and other Charlotte Mason moms, Charlotte Mason Philippine moms, will be our guests, and they will be sharing their practices. Iisa-isahin natin to, hihimay-himayin natin kung paano nyo magagawa ito. But right now, go ahead, choose what riches you want to focus on, especially if you're still transitioning to the new year, and just do it. And so that's it. Anyway, sige, goodbye Normie, and thank you again. Happy New Year ulit.
May you have a wonderful and rich-filled homeschooling.
Yes, bye everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for joining Charlotte Mason Philippines. Again, we are a community podcast, and we hope that this episode helped, encouraged, and inspired you today.
And there will be more conversations, so please subscribe to our podcast channels and join our Facebook group, Charlotte Mason Philippines.